I'm going to record on my end. Does everyone see that fine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No clicking. It's not pinned. It's a bug on, not my fault, Hub's team. All right. So, M3. I'm going to explain what it is, some kind of historical context to where we're at, and so first off, kind of want to start off with the English coffee houses of the 17th and 18th century. This was like a place back then where all walks of life took part in. They were society basically switched from a depressant, alcohol, to a stimulant, caffeine, and these places were a high bandwidth exchange of ideas, and it kind of led to the Enlightenment period afterwards. And it feels like right now we are kind of in that same era where discords are the new English coffee houses in the digital realm. Like it's where our brains really light up because it's like a really fast bandwidth exchange of info, and it feels like all these different virtual world platforms are much closer together. Like you can just hop from one community to the next and engage with that community just with a single click. So, distance is really compacted in these chat rooms, and it's kind of like a period in time where we'll kind of go back to early American history here. The open metaverse kind of feels like early America at the moment, where we have all these separate colonies on the kind of like same land, with tons more people arriving on the shores of Web3 in search of freedom. Although maybe I would say like also like just new opportunities, because there's just a whole bunch of new economic and business models to be experimented with. But the thing is, like, it's also a period in time in which big metaverse is growing in power, and so to compete on the global stage, it feels like it's a join or die moment. This is kind of like one of the first political cartoons, kind of representing the 13 original colonies. Now, what the early, what happened before signing of the Constitution was that the founders needed to rally support first. And so many of them were publishing a series of essays under pseudonyms. And this publication was named Publius, and these were the Federalist Papers. And the Federalist Papers were distributed all across the 13 colonies and whatnot. And I just find it interesting that many of them also use pseudonyms as well, because I think like that's a big part of online culture and whatnot, and people picking like gamer tags and handles. Anyways, I believe that NFTs are the new printing press. And at M3, we're right now really experimenting with really dank NFT ideas, like such as wearables, such as weapons, which are also considered wearables in a sense, vehicles like this skateboard, for instance. That could be like a GLB, a metaverse file, pets. That's also kind of considered like a avatar wearable. Inventories, backpacks and whatnot. And speaking of the logo, it's inspired by www. When we first came together, we were like, okay, like a lot of us are open source, like web dev / building VR on the web. So we kind of looked at this and wanted to turn it upside down because the metaverse is like next level. And so we kind of combined that with a little bit of like underground vibes, combined with like the Federalist logo as well, to come up with the current M3 logo, which is this. Also kind of like inspired by the Black Sun and Snow Crash. And this is what we have as like a POAP. If you pass the Get Good challenge, But POAPs also, like when it comes to the culture and hackerspaces, it kind of reminds me of like the equivalent of collecting stickers on your laptop, because they're often distributed at events, same as like these stickers, like at conferences and expos. And so, we're exploring ideas for like merch and this notion being applied to fashion. So I've got like here an example with different wearables where imagine these could be based on POAP designs, but also like made into physicals and as well as digital. But the main idea is kind of like, I think we've kind of drifted from the original principles of which like what got us here in the first place, what attracted people in crypto in the first place, which was freedom, and want to make a statement that's not just about like how much you spent on an NFT, but what you've done, where you've been, like what you've accomplished in a way. And POAPs like are an easy light lift way of distributing like badges and accomplishment kind of like pins and just kind of creating like a new CryptoPunk fashion. And this is like very portable, it's very composable, you can add it to any kind of wearable that you have. And we all have like different avatars and different wearables. So another idea for merch that I've been exploring for the group is just like how do we take the concepts that we're really interested in, like interoperable like assets and inventory systems that travel between worlds, and like visualize them in a very literal sense, so that like when we go between different platforms and talk about like what we do and like exchanging ideas and whatnot, we could really imitate some of these. And so like backpacks are another really cool idea for merch. I've got like a backpack where I added a few of my POAP pins for. Sorry, it's taken a while for slides. So if anyone's interested in exploring other merch ideas like this, let me know. We're looking for 3D modelers. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool because you can like put like locations you visited as like POAPs as like pins on these. And they also look great on denim as well. Could be like a metaverse biker crew vibe if we want. But anyways, the general gist is we're all about like, representing in a way that's interoperable, composable, our ideals, our vision, but also our skills, our roles, the things that we've done, not just what we've bought, but what we're about, And this is also a way I think we can unite different factions building the open metaverse, because it's happening all across different discords, right? And it's not one discord or the other that's going to build it. It's going to be a collective, a constellation of them. And so they can all have kind of a representation on these wearables and whatnot, because it's going to be an effort all across. And we can have designs that are inspired by community building aptitudes. Here's like some of the things I was thinking about, such as like, what if we create designs based on the transition from audiences to communities, like Web 2 to Web 3? What if we do it based on like roles that we have in building these communities, like the semiotics of such, or semiotics of like the different aptitudes, like there's settlers, explorers, and town planners. And there's a great blog post that goes into what each of those kind of means. But we're really like about creating content and documentation that's aimed at the makers, the 1% that creates content for the 99% of that consume it. We're all makers. We all create stuff. And, as we create stuff, we want to create documentation on how we do things so others can do the same. And this is how we kind of help contribute towards interoperable open standards, because you need at least like a few platforms to integrate something for it to be taken seriously as a proposal for such. So want to create content documentation that's worked really well for things like interoperable avatars, like showcasing what it looks like, and then like giving people a rundown on how to do it themselves, has led to awesome results and demand from the users to the platform devs to integrate some things as well. But yeah, the long-term vision is that right now we're like a Discord community, but I eventually want us to get dripped out in our patches, pins, meta loot, and take a great journey to other Discords and to other servers and platforms and spend quality time with their communities, engage with them, sightsee, exchange gifts, and build bridges. And so think of it as like, eventually we're going to leave the Shire and go on this journey and document it all along the way. Once we have our, processes down, our kind of like, think of it as like a show that we're producing together as we travel across the metaverse. And yeah, so we're really good at doing events. We've got like Discord chats, we do lightning talks. All of our past events are uploaded to GitHub that go 3 years back. The first event was May 2nd, 2019. Well, actually the first official one, there was one before that. We do field trips to other platforms, mixers, art shows, let's plays, panels, you name it. So virtual productions is like a big part of it as well, where we, document these things and upload them to our channel. Well, it's not just one channel, it's kind of spread out between a few, but that's okay. Like, it's decentralized. But the goal is, back to the point, to ratify support, for what we need to really connect the open metaverse together, because I believe we have all the parts. We have good standards for objects and for avatars, and we do need to still explore some stuff for scripting and whatnot, but this is our way of kind of appealing to the makers and to eventually ratify support for something that can unite us to compete on the global stage versus getting just decimated by big metaverse's efforts, because they're pouring billions of dollars per year into R&D to create their vision of the metaverse. So we need to coordinate, and I believe coordination is going to be a huge part of it, more so than the technical part. So just to kind of give y'all an overview of people's projects that are happening in a community, I gathered some examples and I just want to share and kind of think of it as like shoutouts, because people are making such cool stuff all the time. And the mantra of a hackerspace, if you've never been to one in real life, it's basically a global movement that goes by teach, learn, build. And they host workshops, they host events, they're community ran, they rent physical spaces while we're like occupying digital space. But yeah, so here's like an example with our website. If you go to m3org.com, SM Sith Lord, the Play Canvas Guru, put it together. I provided assets. Don't grab the screen, please. And it acts kind of like a 3D link tree, in which this is kind of like a visualization of all the kind of projects that are happening in orbit, or incomplete, but we definitely packed it to the gills. And right now we're working on a sequel as like a storefront, so this can be also remixed into our merch shop in the future. This is a picture from my local test environment in Webiverse. Basically, me and the other people that Chris and Avier, we co-founded Webiverse, but all of the ideas that went into it was like a culmination of things that we've gathered from M3. Like M3, throughout years of events and exchanging ideas and building stuff, like it eventually became this open source project. So that's another thing that came out of M3. Who's gonna present a talk right after me, is working on so much stuff that I had to help him document it. So, and I'm still like falling behind, but this guy is a machine. He's just like constantly cranking out crazy, awesome experiments. Data visualization art, I guess I would call some of it, but also builder tools. Ash, I don't know if his time zone. Yeah, he. Oh, anyway, shout out to Ash. The guy is making this project called Hyperfy, in which right now he's building like a builder tool. Just try not to grab the screen, but yeah, a really easy way to kind of create your own personal space in a metaverse. We've got Laser Shark, who's building up a cool lab and does a lot of cool stuff with tubby cats. As well as OMI group, by the way, really active in that, working on an OMI audio emitter. Emotional is here, building Fediverse all across different platforms, which is super awesome. In fact, he even brought in his custom avatar to here. Metarick, which, I mean, doing virtual productions, Unity stuff, dabbling into Webiverse. This is like him in at this world is like super sick. I mean, Uncanny Alley on Twitter. Check him out. Alley Uncanny. Metarick is, yeah, he is the GOAT. Meta Mike, also making hella cool stuff, especially in virtual production land, doing a lot of cool stuff in Unreal Engine, but also dabbling with Webiverse and VR chat. A lot of us are building across like 5 different platforms at a time sometimes. So it's, but yeah, he's got like a CloneX. A lot of us are big fans of CloneX, by the way. Excited for the 3D files to be dropped, but he went ahead and built his from scratch using Vroid as a base, and like got all the Visings working and LiveLink working, and has like a VTuber setup like Code Miko style. It's sick. And Boombox Head, who I've been doing virtual production stuff for years now, super indie, you know, like we use off-the-shelf consumer hardware and software that's free, and we're basically building a fully 100% digital version of like a virtual production studio, like what you see, you know, in Epic Games, Unreal, like for shooting shows like The Mandalorian and whatnot. We basically have the same kind of setup with video panel walls in VRChat, which this is where we're going to host the after party / mixer from. Yeah, after this, I'll share the link. It's all kind of like prepped as an event space. The world that we've built is actually one-to-one to match the floor plan of a physical space in New York City called Loom Studios. And we're going to be renting that out for NFT NYC in June, late June. So we're going to be doing a series of digital events leading up to that. And each time we're going to iterate, so, you know, expect a lot of like bumps along the way for the first one, but yeah, it's going to be pretty cool because we're going to start this in a digital, but it's going to then be in the physical, and it's like we already know the place, and it'll be pretty meta for the people that are in there to see that this exists virtually as well. And all the walls in the actual like Loom Studios are like short throw projectors, so it's like kind of like a cave type setup. And I've, you know, got more notes on my devlog, so if you ever check my website, or if you go to this link, you can check out more info on virtual productions. We're radically driving down the cost of filmmaking and storytelling using free off-the-shelf components. So with that, that's what I've got to share. Any comments and questions?
Jen?